Good morning, everybody. It's meteorologist Jeff Gerber, and I'll give you a little quick chat on Dorian, and we'll see what's going on with Dorian as we head into the next few days through the holiday weekend into early next week. Want to make sure everything's working. Make sure audio's working. Okay, I see the audio's working, and also want to make sure I'm looking at the comments. I'll take some questions from y'all in just a little bit here. All right, let's get right to it and show you what Dorian's doing. We just got the 10 o'clock update from the National Hurricane Center. Winds are still at 85 miles per hour, and it's still moving off towards the northwest at about 13. But there are some changes in intensity, especially as it moves into Florida going into early next week. Here is Dorian on satellite. It's about 220 miles north of Puerto Rico now. It continues to move towards the northwest at about 13 miles per hour. Still trying to get a little bit better organized. Still not your classic textbook storm with an eye, but definitely starting to strengthen a little bit, it looks like, as it continues to churn out in the open Atlantic. Nothing to shear this storm apart as far as any mountains or any islands or anything like that. So it has a good chance here to really start to develop into a strong hurricane as we go into the next few days. Right now, Category 1, winds are at 85 miles per hour, moving to the northwest at about 13. As we put this into motion, this is the track. By later on tonight into tomorrow, they have it as a Category 2 storm, and then by tomorrow morning, maybe a Category 3. As we look towards Sunday morning, a Category 4 with winds at about 130 miles per hour, and then they have it moving on the east coast of Florida sometime, looks like Monday morning, maybe late Monday morning, as a Category 4 hurricane with winds at 130 miles per hour. Once again, this track could change a little bit as we head towards Monday, but right now that is the current track as far as the National Hurricane Center is concerned. Once it gets into Florida, of course, it's going to weaken quite a bit because it's going to be over land. They're expecting to drop down to just Category 1 hurricane as it moves over the peninsula of Florida. After that, there's, of course, a big question mark. What Dorian going to do? As we take a look at some of these computer models, a lot of the computer models have Dorian making that turn to the right or turn to the north, however you want to look at it, and having it kind of move up through parts of central Florida, northern Florida. You can see them all turning right up into here, and then maybe going into the southeastern U.S. So that's what the kind of consensus of a lot of these computer models are doing. Now, if you remember yesterday, especially Patrick was talking about this, a lot of these computer models had it kind of coming up over towards New Orleans or the Florida Panhandle. That could happen still. We still have a chance for that to happen. This whole scenario as far as turning to the north could change again as we get into later on this afternoon when we get new runs of the computer models. That's kind of what happened yesterday. Yesterday we had this turn to the north in the morning. By the afternoon it had it going a little bit more west out into the Gulf of Mexico. A lot of folks want to know, is it coming to southeast Texas? At this point, chances are very, very low that we would see this storm in southeast Texas. I think probably the farthest west it would go right now in this current scenario, on this current track from the Hurricane Center, would be maybe southern Alabama or even over New Orleans. Right now, that doesn't even look that like a good of a chance over towards New Orleans. Looks like most of it's going to be Florida Panhandle, then up into the southeastern U.S. Want to show you another thing. This is basically the steering winds that's going to keep this storm going towards the northeastern Gulf of Mexico and not coming towards southeastern Texas. We have a couple of areas of high pressure. One, you can't miss it, it's right over here, and then there's another one over here, that Bermuda High that we talk about. Both those are going to kind of pinch this storm and hopefully drive it up into the southeastern U.S., not drive it westerly into southeast Texas. Doesn't look like that's going to happen. As this high gets stronger, it's going to continue to push this storm into parts of northern Florida. Let me put this into motion for you, and you can see the storm comes into parts of central or southern Florida with that high pressure off towards the north and west, and then it starts to make that turn and starts to go up into Florida, into the southeastern U.S. And once again, those two ridges of high pressure, the one over here and then the one over here, has enough effect that it's going to keep it away from places like, it looks like New Orleans, southeastern Texas, and most of Texas. So that's kind of what I think the Hurricane Center is kind of basing their track on right now. And so we're looking at that the scenario to play out right now. But once again, that was the case kind of yesterday morning. By the afternoon, that looked like it might change a little bit. So it's one of these things you really have to watch closely. But overall, I would think that the confidence is very low for something to come into Southeast Texas. It looks like it's not going to happen. So if you're sitting there worrying about Dorian, I wouldn't worry that much. Looks like parts of Florida, southeastern U.S., that's where the main effect's going to be at Dorian. If you have friends and family over there, you need to kind of watch this storm from them, make sure they're okay as we get into early next week, because it looks like landfall will be sometime as we head towards Monday. I'll pull up the track once again on Dorian and show you the timing once again. Category 2 maybe later today, Category 3 maybe by tomorrow, and then a Category 4 possibly as it makes landfall somewhere along that central Florida coastline, somewhere it looks like maybe late Monday morning. Let me take a look at a couple of comments here real quick and see if I can answer any questions. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Hello. Appreciate you all watching. Thank you very much. How close to Port St. Lucie? I'm not exactly sure. I have to pull up a map of Florida, and I really can't do that right now. I'm not sure exactly what we're looking at. I'm over here on this other computer. I can try to pull it up real quick and see if I can get an idea of where, get you a city that's close to where I think it's probably going to be coming in. Real close here. Looks like there's Port St. Lucie right there. Looks like it's going to be just eyeballing it now. Looks like it's going to be pretty close to Port St. Lucie, Vero Beach, Fort Pierce in Florida, maybe near Jupiter, Florida, or just north of there. Port St. Lucie looks pretty close to where the current track is. Now, remember yesterday, they had the track way farther north, or at least up here towards, say, Daytona Beach or Orlando, places like that. Now it's dropped down to the south. Once again, that could completely change by tonight or tomorrow. So this is just the current track. This is the 10 o'clock update. So that's why we watch these things constantly throughout the day, because it is a constantly evolving thing and changing thing across the area. Okay, let me get back to my Facebook and let me see if I can. If it goes into the Gulf of Mexico right now, it looks like it's going to be just the northern and eastern sections of the Gulf of Mexico. If it doesn't quite make that turn up into northern Florida, up through Florida, we're talking about the northeastern corner of Florida. It looks like this morning towards the Florida Panhandle, nowhere near the western Gulf of Mexico. Okay, so just a few comments. I don't see a whole lot. Like I said, a lot of you guys have been following this, and you kind of have an idea of what we're looking at here. So once again, that is the current track. Storm coming in now is a Category 4. They're thinking sometime as we get into Monday, maybe Monday morning. Of course, that time could fluctuate. It could be as early as Sunday night. It could be as late as Monday afternoon. Real close to parts of central Florida there. And we're looking at it possibly to turn up into Florida or the northeastern Gulf and then head towards the Florida Panhandle, or maybe even up into Georgia as we go into, looks like, middle of next week, and staying well away from southeast Texas. As far as Louisiana is concerned, on this current track and looking at the current models, doesn't look like it will be bothering Louisiana. But once again, we'll be watching the track very closely. This is not set in stone by any stretch of the imagination. This could fluctuate, so we're watching it closely. But I will say at this point, it does look like a very low chance of anything coming into southeast Texas right now. So we'll just have to wait and see. It really depends on, like we were saying, how these high pressure ridges, one off towards the left, one to the right, affect this storm, how far they build in towards the southeast, how much they push that storm up into Florida, or maybe it eases up a little bit and lets it move a little bit farther to the west, maybe over towards Alabama or even Mississippi. We'll have to wait and see. But right now, current trends show it moving up into Florida and maybe into southern Georgia with some of the current model trends. Anyway, I just want to wrap this up real quick. Appreciate you all watching the Facebook Live. This is the latest on Dorian. This is the 10 o'clock update. Patrick will be, of course, back this afternoon, and he'll give you the update coming up a little bit later on today. If you're following Dorian very closely, if you have travel plans maybe to the southeastern U.S. Coming up early next week, or Florida maybe over the holiday weekend, you definitely want to keep updated on Dorian as it moves into Florida, possibly on Monday. Once again, real quickly, just show you this latest track on Dorian as it moves out of the Atlantic. Once again, well to the east of the Bahamas, maybe catching some of the northern Bahamas there, and then into Florida, it looks like on Monday. All right, I appreciate everybody. Thank you for watching. I hope you have a great day. I'll be up on noon on KJAC, and I'll give you the latest on Dorian once again. We'll be watching it there and give you the latest satellite and everything like that. All right, y'all have a great day.